This is SBR Case. He's a registered 2003 gelding. He stands about 16 hands and does 3 gaits extremely well. He was purchased from Bruce Rotz, and Omega Horse Rescue raised funds for us to get him and 2 others. This is the very, very, very thin horse that came in. He is putting on weight nicely. He rides extremely well. Someone has put time in on him. But when we first tried him out, he was lethargic. I felt it was because he was so thin, so we just tested him briefly. He has been in a stall. I wanted to make sure he got his energy back up and put on weight as quickly as possible. He is ridden here barefoot. We would love to keep shoes on these horses, but our funds to keep more horses goes into whether the horses need shoes or whether I'd like to have them on by the way they look. And he, because of where he's stabled and his feet does not need to have shoes on, so he is barefoot. He has ridden well. I've had a couple other riders ride him, and he's been very easy to deal with. My better riders like him. I have not had the younger kids on him just because we haven't worked him that much. He knows the word whoa. Somebody spent a lot of time on this horse working him, which is always nice when we get those horses because they are just extremely easy for us to place. He has picked up in his energy level, but he has a nice flat walk and he has nice collected gaits. Even though his energy level is picked up, I do not feel he is ever going to be a wild horse or super gamey. I think he's always just going to be kind of a nice guy to ride. We're letting him carry his head where he'd like to. I'm sure it would come up much higher. And I'm sure with shoes on in the front, he would develop quite more emotion. Because I remember as he had his driving shoes on, he had a little more emotion before we pulled him. He's got nice gaits. If you notice, Aaron's legs are not moving very much unless she pushes him. He is a horse you push just a little bit. This horse should fit into any lesson program, or possibly as he puts on more weight, would make a nice lower level show horse. Like I said, he is registered. We do not have the papers in hand, but we are working on getting them. He's a natural flat walker, which is really good. It's easy for him to do that. He's a little bit pacey in his canter, but he had a pretty good start. He knew exactly what Aaron was wanting. The timing was off just a little bit, so he kind of adjusted his legs to make sure he picked up the lead that Aaron asked for. Again, I feel with shoes in front, this horse's canter would be even smoother. It's very collected. This is not something that we've worked and had to teach him. This is kind of the way he goes. These horses are kind of rare to find. We didn't put him up right away because we were concerned about his weight to make sure there was nothing wrong with him. He never was sick. He just was not fed. He's been easy to put weight on. He's been easy to work. He is ready to go to a new home. He's very patient in his training. So if you're interested in this horse, please contact Aaron at Saddlebred Rescue. You're going to see him take another canter lead. This one, they got a little better timing, so he gets a better start. And that was just really good. He's kind of played there. He kind of shook his head a little bit like he's playing. That's about all he'll put into it. So I don't think this horse is an overly game horse, because we've had horses come in thin that were always, after a day or two, were game. This horse is kind of laid back. It was probably fairly hard for him to work on the road. He didn't have a huge energy level, but he's really workable.